Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another power ranking / quarterly review video. This is going to be me giving every NFL team their quarterly review, just like I did last week with quarterbacks. But at the same time, this is also technically a power ranking, so I'm really not sure what the title is going to be. Also, for those wanting me to do wide receiver reviews and running back reviews and tight end reviews, I think I'm going to do that, but I'll wait till we get closer to the halfway point, because at this point, we're already past a quarter, so we'll just wait it out. A couple of plugs as always. Don't forget to use code Wyatt's World on G Fuel or Prize Picks, where you can save yourself a discount on any G Fuel products or guarantee yourself to win a free $50 with your first $5 lineup after using code Wyatt's World at sign up on Prize Picks. But that's all I got for plugs. Remember to play responsibly, and let's get into the video. Alright guys, so here we are at the tier list, and for now, the categories go as follows, starting with the top. We have Super Bowl contender. Then we've got the very good teams. Then we've got the teams that are good, but obviously flawed. Under that, we've got the teams who are pretty ass. And at the bottom, we've got the teams who are flat out dog shit. Now, you kind of see why I'm calling this a power ranking, because, I mean, technically this is. Anyway, without further ado, let's hop into it with the Miami Dolphins. Pretty ass. They have good players, so I'm not going to put them at the very bottom, but they don't have their quarterback, and without him, they are unable to really compete or perform against anybody who has a brain in their head. That'll bring us to Baltimore, Super Bowl contenders. I think they are arguably the best team in the AFC right now. Probably are the best team in the AFC right now. I don't think there's much to argue with. And I have no issue giving you that credit, Baltimore, but I will be honest, I think it's hilarious how, you know, just 3 weeks ago when you guys were 0-2, your fan base was literally acting like it was the end of the world. You were already talking about next season. And now 3 weeks later, you guys are all sitting back on your high horses talking shit and talking down on people like that period of time just never happened. That'll bring us to the Bengals. Good but flawed. That's a great way to put it too. Their offense is electric. Their defense is ass. Like their last 3 games, they've putting up 38, 34, and 33 points. They are playing fantastic on one side of the ball. Now we've got Denver. I don't get it. I don't get it. Every week, it seems like their offense is just terrible. I mean, it helps that they have the number 3 defense in football right now, but seriously, their quarterback through 5 weeks has 3 touchdowns and 4 picks. Their leading rusher has 190 yards. Their leading receiver has 224 yards and 1 touchdown, but they're 3-2. I don't fucking get it. And now we got the Giants. Honestly, good but flawed. They haven't been playing bad since week 1. That narrative that they're a shitty team has been out the window to anybody who has actually been paying attention. Haven't lost a game by more than 5 points. Almost beat Washington without a kicker. Just knocked off Seattle. They're not the most exciting, not the most loaded. They're not the best team, but they're not bad. Now we've got the Minnesota Vikings, Super Bowl contenders, one of the 2 undefeated teams in the league right now. I know that their wins haven't been the prettiest in recent weeks, but it doesn't hide the fact that nobody's been able to beat them yet. Kinda hard to argue against that. Like, I mean, they have not lost. Knock on wood. And now that'll bring us to the Rams. As much as I hate to say this, they've been pretty ass, and I know injuries have a lot to do with it, and they are fighting to stay in these games, but they're 1-4. They've only put up 94 points while allowing 140. I think it'd be a different story if they had Puka and Kupp, but right now it's hard to talk good on them. Now we got Tampa Bay. Very good. Very good. I don't care what people say. They deserve to be above good but flawed. Their offense has thrown up 63 points in the last 2 weeks. Matter of fact, if their defense didn't shit the bed last week and lose the game for them, they'd be sitting at 4-1 right now. They've had 1 truly bad game, and that was against Denver. Other than that, I think the Buccaneers have been playing like a top team in the league. Now we got the Saints. Good but flawed. I think they're a lot more flawed than Tampa Bay. Their quarterback, their passing game in general, like I've mentioned previously, hasn't been good for 3 weeks now. Their offense in general has scored under 20 points in 2 of those 3 games. They've lost 3 games in a row. Electric start, but they're really showing some cracks. And now we've got the Lions. I think they're contenders. They slipped and fell to Tampa Bay, then they bounced back against Arizona, dropped 42 points on Seattle, and just rested up on a bye week. I think they're a team that just takes a little bit to get things moving, but once they get moving, it's impossible to stop them. Moving on, we got the Bears. They're making me nervous. These guys are starting to look like they know what they're doing. Like, they're starting to look like they might just fuck around and be a good team after all. Now we've got the 49ers. I don't get it. I don't understand what's wrong over there. They might not be the most healthy, but they shouldn't be 2-3. They shouldn't have lost to Arizona. They shouldn't have lost to the Rams. They shouldn't lose this week to Seattle, but we don't know. Moving on, we have Philly. They're good, but flawed, and it goes beyond, Nick Sirianni, who's the biggest problem. Their defense has allowed over 30 points in 2 of the 4 games they've played. Obviously, their offense is missing A.J. Brown, and on top of that, Jalen Hurts he hasn't been that bad, but he has not been that great. Now, moving on, we got the Raiders, and they are dog shit. Absolute dog shit, and that's just the truth. I thought maybe I would have been wrong after they beat the Ravens, but no, it's the same story as always. They're terrible. Their best player wants to be traded out of there. They've already benched their starting quarterback. Their best runner there is Amir Abdullah. Their team is any football fan's nightmare, and I'm talking about being a fan of them. Now, moving on, we have Green Bay, another good team, but a flawed team. Now, I know their placement in the division says 4th, but people are also not looking at the fact that they're 3-2. They're still competent. They're still winning. They're still above 500. Just kind of like I said yesterday, they haven't been that healthy in Love, even though he hasn't been terrible, hasn't looked as sharp as I was thinking he was going to look, injury or not. With that being said, I don't think he's bad by any means, so don't put that in my mouth. All right, now moving on, we have the Commanders. I'm putting them in very good. If they knock off Baltimore, I will put them in contenders. I gotta see their defense either put up a fight against a really good offense, or I've just gotta see them knock off one of the top teams in the league, who is Baltimore. I ain't worried about the Washington offense at all. They have scored 30 plus points in the last 3 weeks. It's just last week they played the Browns, 2 weeks ago was against Arizona, who's pretty damn inconsistent, and then 3 weeks ago they beat the Bengals offense, but they allowed 33 points in the process. This week's gonna be extremely telling as to who Washington really is, man. I'm excited. Now we've got Arizona. Good but flawed. I don't think they're bad. They've just been inconsistent, and that's offensively. Their defense, I actually think, has been playing pretty fucking good. Like, yeah, they might have gotten smacked by the Commanders like I just talked about, but they only allowed 20 points versus Detroit and only allowed 23 versus San Francisco, who they beat. They get their offense together, they'll be just fine. Now we've got the Steelers, and they're the Steelers because I don't ever fucking know what to say about them. They're the same shit every year. They've got a scary defense with a struggling offense, yet they're capable of beating any team, and they're capable of getting their shit rocked by any team. Now we've got the Bills, good but flawed. I think that's a very fair place to put them. Everybody knows they are not perfect, but everybody also knows you cannot take them lightly. They have an offense that'll strike out of nowhere. They have a defense that'll come up big when you need them to. It's just, lately it's looking like they've been forgetting to put the brain in their head before they actually walk on the field. All right, now we're on to the Falcons. They're almost very good, and I know I'm going to get yelled at for having them below Tampa Bay, who they're sitting ahead of right now and who they just beat, but Atlanta still has a negative point differential, and for whatever reason, their run game is still lousy, even though it has no reason to be. Like, as good as this team has been playing, they could still be better. It is really nice to see them have a dominant passing game again, though. That's fucking cool. Now we've got Seattle. Good but flawed. They're kind of just like the Bills. I mean, the teams really aren't that much alike, but in the sense as, they started off the year by kind of beating on some shitty teams, and then the last 2 weeks they've lost to people who actually have brains. It's just not a good look. And yeah, both of us can blame health. We're both missing people. I'm aware of that. But in order to be considered, one of the biggest threats, you've got to take down the other threats that are in your way. Like I said, I'm talking about my own team here too. Now we've got the Patriots. Terrible. Dog shit. It's been 5 weeks of football and they've only thrown up 62 points of offense. The worst part about it is they just lost to a team who's thrown up less points than them. Matter of fact, that's the only team to have less points than them. That'll bring us to Cleveland. Dog shit. Don't gotta beat on a dead horse there. Everybody knows that. And that'll bring us to Houston. Very good. Not quite contenders yet. They're close, but they've looking shaky in every game they've played. And that's reality. They haven't won a game by more than 6 points. They almost just lost to a horrible performing Bills team. They got their ass beat by the Vikings. But like my dad said yesterday, man, they are 4-1. You gotta give them credit where it's due. Now we got Kansas City. Unfortunately, Super Bowl contenders. I don't want to put them up there, but much like the Vikings, they haven't lost yet. Teams have not found a way to beat them. You can't talk against that. And that'll take us to Dallas. They're the Cowboys. Much like the Steelers are the Steelers. This is the same shit every year with them. Start off as contenders, then they look really bad. Everybody gets down on them. Just when you lose hope, they bounce back and win a couple games. You get really high on them, and now they're probably about to go on another losing streak. And again, I can't relate them to the Steelers any more than when I say this is the team that can kick the shit out of anybody, and this is also the team that'll go out and fucking lose to anybody. Wildly unpredictable. All right, now we've got the Chargers. They're weirdos. They have allowed by far the fewest amount of points in the league, only at 50 points through 5 weeks. I know they've had a bye, but they've also only scored 68, and they're sitting at 2-2. Literally feels like every game you watch is just a tug and war match with them. A really fucking slow one, but they're not a terrible team either. Now we've got the Jets. Also weirdos. There's a bunch of problems there, and I don't think anybody truly knows what the problems are. Regardless, this is just another year of a great defense and an offense that is struggling, even though all the pieces are there. You got Breece Hall being extremely inconsistent, and it doesn't seem like your passing game can effectively get down the field unless Aaron Rodgers literally just throws at Garrett Wilson 20 times a game. They're not bad, but they're weird. Now we've got the Panthers. Absolute dog shit. Anybody objecting that? I don't think so. And now we've got the Titans, and I mean, they're pretty ass because their offense has been pretty ass and their record is pretty ass. They still hold the best defense in the league with the #1 pass defense in the league and a top 10 rush defense in the league. Like, through all the shit, there is actually a diamond in there. Now we've got the Colts. Weirdos. They're weird because they know their team is so much better under one quarterback, and they're still not going to stick with him when Anthony Richardson comes back, and I get it. You drafted Anthony Richardson to play, you're gonna have to see him develop, but right now in the season, they're 2-3. The door is still open for them to make a splash, and them willingly walking away from what has been successful to them, it's fucking bizarre. And ending, we have Jacksonville. They are absolute dog shit. Hey, they just got a win, great. It's against one of the worst secondaries in the league and against a team who hasn't won in Jacksonville in 10 fucking seasons. Their ass! And that'll do it, ladies and gentlemen, for me reviewing/ranking every team just before the start of week 6. Hope you guys liked this video. If you did, you already know what to do to show support, and please do it because you know I appreciate any and all help. In the meantime, I'm gonna get this edited so you guys can watch it on time. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Enjoy the game tonight, and as always, I will see you in the next upload.